podcast, and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. It's Wednesday night, and this is the Journey Radio Show. Hey, we're the She Squatchers. I'm Jen Cruz, your host, and I've got my trusty teammates on the line. I've got Jenna Grover.
Hello, hello.
And we've got Tammy Trickle.
Hi, everybody.
And tonight we have a super special guest for you. We've got Susi Askildson joining us from northern Minnesota, I believe.
Yep.
Or is it central Minnesota? I'm not sure.
Central. I don't know. It's a really big state.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is a
It's a
big
really
state.
big
It's funny wherever you go. If you go any place, people they'll find out you're from Minnesota, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I know someone from Minnesota. Do you know so and so?" And it's like,
Yeah.
nope. But thank you for thinking of us.
I know,
Right?
Don't you know?
Yes.
Hey, don't you know it's great?
You betcha.
Oofta. You gotta
Awesome.
put oofta in there.
Oh, I say oofta every day, lots of
Oh, I
times.
do. I do. too.
Naturally.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just,
I do know.
and then
It just comes out of my mouth. You know, it's the
Tammy.
nice way of like not.
Tammy
Stuffing.
recognizes she's no longer a Minnesotan, so she's like,
I didn't
never
say it when
again."
I was there. I was like, that is dumb. Why do you guys say that?
Really? I've said oofta
I'm like, what is
forever.
oofta?
Well, it's a
Oofta.
Norwegian thing, you know, and
yeah,
when I moved,
somebody did tell me it was Norwegian.
it's Norwegian. It's and actually there's a funny little phrase because you know oofta is when you see it, and fida is when you step in it. So if you're like oofta and if you're like oofta fida, then that's really bad.
Wait a minute. So what? I thought it was
So
oofta mida.
Fida May.
No,
I
say
stepped
oofta
in it.
fida.
Oh my gosh, I've said it wrong for years. Oofta.
Huh?
What is it?
Fida.
Oofta fida. I've been saying
Oofta fida.
oofta mida. I'm
Maybe
talking
it's
to my
both.
mother.
Maybe it's both. You never know.
I don't know. My mom said some pretty weird things, and I'm looking them up now, and I'm finding out she did not know the other languages. So she tried.
I always heard the old guy say oofta fida me. So that must be, I stepped in it.
It's like a combination of all. So that means they stepped in it. Yeah,
I
'cause
stepped in
oofta
it.
and-
That's good to know.
well, there you go.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us
Minnesotan
on
101.
Norwegian. Yes,
Minnesotan, how to speak Minnesotan 101. Right.
Yep.
Well, we want to know how to speak Minnesotan Bigfoot 101.
Well, that does not include little Susie going out into the woods and howling, because no. That does not.
No.
I do not. I might
Well,
howl
there
if
you
I
go.
see like a spider or something, you know, that gets my attention or whatever, but I'm not going to be out there howling trying to get attention. I was like, I get enough attention from Squatchy is what I dubbed him years ago. I was like, Squatchy
Okay.
just like hangs with me like around the campfire and whatever else, and so I don't need to go looking for Squatchy. Squatchy comes to see me.
Well, there you go. We want that.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to hear
Sometimes.
more about that.
Well, Susie, let's tell people who you are. Like, how did you get involved in looking or even thinking about Bigfoot? Well, how did that happen for you? Tell us
Well,
about you.
You know, your last guest that you had would be my husband Quint. Yeah. And so basically everything Squatchy / paranormal / anything all started after I got married. Because, you know, and I always kind of wondered about certain things, and he just helped me verify that certain things do exist. And it's been like nonstop ever since. We've been married almost 18, well, it'll be 18 years in December. And it's literally just been one thing after another, which definitely makes life exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like never a dull moment, you know. And at first I was kind of like, is this stuff like really happening and really going down? And I mean, freaking out about stuff, and like, yeah, especially like my first, you know, Sasquatch experience when I thought I was going to die, but you know, I didn't. And you know, and then now I'm like, it's not to the, I'm almost like blasé about it, because I'm like, oh, look, there's another rock, or oh, there's another, you know, tree knock, or
Another tree
whatever.
bend.
You know, yeah, like, and other people would be like, oh my gosh, I just want to hear a tree knock, or, you know, I just want to see him once. And I'm going, yeah, yeah, you know.
I get that.
Yeah.
I think it's the aspect of wanting to more. You know, you get a little further and you want just a little bit more.
I always want more.
Or chocolate.
No matter what we're talking
No
about.
matter what it is, I want more.
Yeah. That's awesome. But no, obviously I know a little bit about the UFTA thing, because I am a Minnesotan transplant from Northern Iowa. And it's funny because when I moved up here, I said, I am a Norwegian Lutheran from Iowa. You guys could have like endless amounts of jokes, you know, to just give me a hard time on coming to Minnesota. So
Actually, you fit right in. Most of Minnesota is Norwegian and Lutheran.
I know, that's why
Boy,
I was
isn't
like,
that
"Uta."
true.
And we love with food. You know, that's how we love. You know, you come visit, and if you're gonna have coffee, well, you better have some freaking grandma donuts with that coffee. Like,
Caramel
Yes.
rolls.
yeah.
Or the hot dishes. Boy, you
Yep.
can't get enough hot
Yeah, but
dish
is
in
it a hot
Minnesota.
dish? Is it a hot dish, or is it a casserole?
It's a hot
In
dish.
Minnesota, it's a hot
I think
dish.
they're the same.
In
They are
Minnesota,
the
it's a hot
same.
dish. In Iowa, it's a casserole. So just
Yep.
Oh,
saying,
boy.
you know.
It's a hot dish.
Yep,
So,
in
okay,
Minnesota,
is
it's
it-
hot dish.
Is it
I'm
duck
offended by
goose,
the
or
word
is it-
casserole.
The rest of the country says it's a casserole.
They aren't here.
That's true. That's true. Just like
Oh.
in Minnesota, it's not dinner, it's supper. Because dinner is the meal between lunch and supper.
Right. Lunch.
Well, and
So
what
many
about if
times
you're,
to eat
like,
in Minnesota.
5
oh,
times a
yeah,
day.
or if you're a hobbit and you get, you know, your onesies and your twosies, and, you know, you're just like
Fourth
eating all
breakfast.
day long.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
love second breakfast.
We-
It's like my favorite.
I know, second breakfast, yes.
I prefer second sleep. Second sleep is my thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
True. Well, I was telling Jen that I said this is like already past my bedtime. That I'm up, you know, at like, usually I'd be almost asleep by now.
Yeah,
Or
it's
probably
10. It's
by
10
now.
o'clock here, so yeah, me too.
Yeah. Because and then, you know, if you're up early, because I'm up at like, you know, 5:30 every morning, so, you know, early to bed, early to rise.
Gotcha. So you got interested with your husband.
Yeah.
But tell us like what happened when you had your first like experience. When did you come to think that maybe Bigfoot was real, or did you always think Bigfoot was real?
Well, I always wondered, because, you know, I'm old enough that I remember the big Bigfoot, the big Bigfoot hype, you know, back in the 70s. And my cousins used to tease me about Bigfoot's going to come. And, you know, granted, it was Iowa. You know, it was like cornfields. What, you know,
I love
Squatchy's
your
going to be
answer.
hanging out in cornfields, whatever. They used to tease me.
Yes,
And
they do.
I was petrified. I was like, oh my God, Bigfoot's going to come and he's going to get me and he's going to take me away. And then I got over that. But then when about 10, 12 years ago, I think was probably when I had my first sighting, and Quinta and I were hanging out at one of our favorite camping spots, and we were hanging out by the lake, and it was at dusk, and I was looking out onto this island. It's an island, and all of a sudden I see this juvenile Sasquatch come walking down to the water, and I'm just like, okay, okay. And then, and then here comes Mama, walking down. I'm thinking maybe it's supper time, whatever, and then Daddy was kind of standing off to the side. And how you are, you're in disbelief, you're like pooping little green apples, you don't even know what's going on. And so finally Quint just turns and looks at me and he's like, well, it's about time you finally see him. He goes, I haven't seen him since I was 12. I'm going, okay, that really just happened. Definitely an adventuresome weekend too, because we, again, when you're freaking out at the moment because you really are afraid you're going to die. I'm like, seriously, I thought he was going to come and rip my arms off. And so instead we decided to feed him Reese's peanut butter cups. And apparently that made him happy because they took all of them. And, if it was like the porcupines or anything else that was hanging out, we would have had wrappers all over the place and stuff like that. Nope. All the wrappers, everything gone. And of course, I'm also in the back of my mind thinking that my husband's just like screwing with me, like, would he do this? But again, when you think about the fact that it was on an island and the only way you're getting there is like by boat or canoe, and like pretty sure my husband didn't, oh wait, we don't have any money, so I know he didn't pay somebody to go dress up like, But that night I remember being in the tent, and Squatchy came by and did the whole, let's run my fingers along the nylon of the tent. And again, I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And Quint is like lying next to me, just sawing logs. I'm like, how does he not know that this is going on? Well, it's because he's been dealing with it since he was 12. And this was me in my, what am I now? 40s or 30s, realizing that this is all happening. And so it took me a long time to actually get used to the idea of just being in the woods with them and just being kind of in harmony, and again, that they haven't ripped my arms off. See, I think I just watched too much Star Wars with Chewbacca, how he like rips the arms off when he gets mad at them,
I would, that's so funny that you have that fear of them gonna rip your arms off. I think that's so funny. I mean, it's not funny if it were to happen, but the thought of it.
I say to people, because Jen heard me say this at Reamer Days, that I said, you know what? And if that is how the good Lord is going to call me to heaven, then so be it. Granted, I could think of a lot happier, friendlier, peaceful ways to go. But if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. And there's no use worrying about something that has or has not, or will or won't happen, or as Quinn always says, what ifs and maybes, and so I learned how to be a lot calmer about the whole situation, and not freak out every time I heard a tree knock or every time I heard something or saw something or, and now I have like experiences where I had one last summer, I think it was. So I'm usually the one that's in the woods gathering all the firewood and the tinder and everything, because it's just what I do, right? And we know we have them on our land, on our property, and I'm sure they're watching me, they're hanging with me, whatever. And one of the fun stories was that I was sitting by the campfire, probably reading on my Kindle or something, and then we have a camper that was blocking the view. I mean, so I couldn't see anything on the other side of the camper, and Quint was behind me, so I know it wasn't Quint. But next thing you know, this big branch just comes flying over the camper and lands on the ground next to me. And I just said, thank you so much, because now I will just add that to the fire. I'm like, they were helping me out. They were like, look at her, she's working away. I think I'm gonna do something to help out.
Oh, great way of looking at a potentially dangerous situation.
They have good aim. I don't know.
They do have good aim. They do.
Yeah, they have good aim. And like we have rocks. They throw rocks all the time, and I was telling somebody about it, and they were like, "Well, where are the rocks now?" I go, "I'm sitting on top of the shack." I go, they're like, "Why?" They go, "Because I'm not gonna climb up there and get them. They're just rocks." I don't know. Not thinking of the aspect of, oh, they could have DNA or sebum or something like that on them. I'm just thinking more along the lines of squatching through rocks. What's your point?
It's just another day in paradise.
I know, right? Another day hanging out in the woods with Squatchy, and
So if you were to be out in the woods and you called for him, do you say here, Squatchy, Squatchy?
No, I say that.
I'm just like,
No, you say here, Footy, Footy.
Oh yeah, I do say here, Footy, Footy.
Nope, I don't say anything. When I am out though, or like if I'm I tend to leave gifts, but that's usually like at the end of the trip or whatever. There's like a little declivity in the ground where I always just go and leave stuff, and I always say thank you for sharing, your woods with me, and thank you for being a guardian and protecting the woods. And I hope you like this salsa or whatever the heck I decided to leave. And I come back and it's always gone. So, I don't know. I don't think I say anything. I'm just, or I'm just like, hey guys, hey, what's up? But I'm kind of like that with the bears and everything else too. Like, hey, I'll leave you alone if you leave me alone. But yeah,
some people speak out loud and some people speak in their mind. So,
I'm more of a vocal person, in case you haven't
Are
noticed. Yeah.
I love it. I love you. I think you're awesome.
Yeah, my mouth doesn't know, like, hey, Quint, I lost 5 pounds. And he's like, not in your mouth. I'm like,
I've heard that one before. That's so rotten. Men, do not say that to your women who talk a lot. Just don't.
And I was like, but you
That
guys
hit
met
a
him,
nerve
so
for Jenna.
He can talk just as much. He can talk just as much as the girls.
Oh yes, they can.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Jenna's got her nerve. Her nerve is twerked.
Oh my gosh, that's true. Oh, I love it.
She doesn't talk a lot ever.
I'm the quietest one in the group. And if you think otherwise, I don't know what to say.
Then you don't know what to say. And then the girls are like, yeah, right. She doesn't know what to say.
It just shows you how little I speak. I'm just kidding. I'm a terrible, terrible, long-winded speaker.
Just so you know. That's how she starts. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah. Just so you know, that is probably right.
Just so you know. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, it's too much fun. I love my team. I love my team.
I know. You guys just had like 2 whole weeks together.
We did. We just got back from expedition on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got back on Friday. They got back on Saturday because I had to bring our filmmaker to the airport a day before Tammy flew out. So
right,
they had an extra day out there.
Yes, we did.
Yes. And Tammy and I got to watch Jen fall in the lake. Are we not supposed to say that? I was behind in a kayak. Tammy had already gone up got out of her kayak, and Jen dipped the whole canoe. I saw her from behind.
Completely under the water.
Oh, completely. Like, I've never seen Jen get underwater so quickly. And it was only because she fell out of a canoe.
My lashes.
Exactly, her lashes.
It's not my fault.
Jen, it was. She was like,
it was your fault.
It's like the dog would move.
Okay. Let me just explain what happened.
Explain.
Okay, so we were trying to get out to the islands on this lake, right? And so it was a windy day too. It was a little wind going on. And granted, I'd never been on a canoe on an open lake on a windy day before. I've canoed on a rivers, It's different. It's way different. Anyway, so we're out there and we're pretty far out, and the waves are hitting the canoe on the side, and it's like
And I'm like, okay, I think we're
Wait a
done.
minute, Jen. What waves are you talking about? Are you
There were
talking about the
waves.
tiny little ripples on the wall? I'm sorry, I just had to ask about that.
Look at her face. She's like, oh.
And the giant waves were moving the boat back
Look
and
at
forth and
ocean
back and forth.
wave.
I can't wait to hear the rest
It
of
was on a
this.
You know,
lake.
there is video of this.
A
There's
lake.
video of this from the drone. You can see the waves. Anyway, so I was
We'll
like,
look
you
for
know
the
what?
white caps. We'll look for the white caps in the video,
yes.
right?
I don't know that there were white caps, but there were waves. And it was really tippy when they'd hit the side of the canoe and go whoop. And I'm like, okay. And I looked back to the shore and I'm like, we are really far away from the shore. If we tip this canoe right here, we are so in trouble. Like I can swim. I float. I could swim to the shore, no problem. But our camera guy, pretty skinny dude. And I didn't know if he could swim or not.
And Jen, I have a
Turns out
question.
he used to be a lifeguard.
Well, we didn't know that though. I didn't know that. And I was thinking, all right, this is pretty tippy. I think we should go back.
But
And
didn't
so
he think that you guys were gonna tip anyway? Because after it happened, it was like he goes, "I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen." Sorry,
You
Jen,
know,
continue. I'm gonna mute myself.
when I got in the
Because I never
canoe,
talk.
when I got in the canoe and he got in the canoe, I went, here's my phone. Can you just set that back on the shore?
Yeah,
please?"
exactly.
And I did the smart thing. Yeah, here's my phone. Put it back there for me, please. Okay, let's go. Anyway, so we're coming back to the shore and we're gonna try to beach this canoe, right? We're going like a bullet. We're going really fast.
I wish
Shut
I
up.
would have seen like a bullet.
Were you? Were you?
We were going so fast,
No.
the bullet would have
No,
been
they
left
weren't.
behind.
We were going so fast. We're like, Todd's like, come on, let's go fast, kid. We gotta beach this baby. I'm like, okay, we're going fast. And then the dog that lives at this property, a nice, beautiful gold German Shepherd, just a sweetheart, big lug of a guy, decides to sit down right there where we're coming, like a bullet.
Oh.
And I'm like, Bruno, move, Bruno, move, get out of the way, Bruno. And I was worried we were going to hit the dog and hurt the dog because the dog's like, huh? And he's like, not doing anything.
Jen is right. This dog literally was like looking at the boat like, what are you doing? So she's not wrong there.
I'm like, Bruno, move. And I'm like, move, Bruno. And somehow in my telling Bruno to move, the canoe went whoop.
And then went.
Yes.
Jen went, whoop,
Yeah.
with it.
Well, Jen was the first one to go in. Like I said, she was in the front. And she was like, no. It was like slow motion. She was like, no, Bruno. And then all of a sudden, I see her butt, and I don't see anything else. And she's like going in the water. And then, like slow motion, poor Todd, if you're watching, I'm so sorry, but it was the funniest thing. That was like super slow motion. The poor guy, he took it so well, though. He really, I mean, it was like.
The funniest part though was
Oh,
I had just been saying to him in the canoe, thank you for being so patient, Todd. You're such a kind man, and you're so patient, and your words are kind, and I really, really appreciate you, and your kindness. So that I was just giving him all kinds of kudos and praise for being such a patient man, because I know men can get impatient with women sometimes. And no, right?
Yeah.
And
You're
so I was
such a
like,
black-
thank you. And then all of a sudden the canoe goes whoop, and he comes up screaming.
Well, he had his phone in his pocket, his 6-year-old or 5-year-old phone that he had come alive like 4 times before.
And it came back to life again. It was resurrected one more time.
Yes.
And
Thank
it means
goodness
put a
for
bag of
rice.
for you for-
Yes.
Yeah, a bag of
Yes.
rice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, not a whole bag. Jen had brought this wonderful rice, so we couldn't give up too much. It was like a cup and a half, but we did it.
Yeah.
Really
I fell in love with this new rice that I found at the Asian market, and now Jenna's in love with it too.
Yes, please.
Kokuho rice.
Mm.
Kokuho rice. So
I
just
like
saying.
it.
We should really get back to Susie.
Yeah.
Have you
Susie.
flipped any canoes
So sorry,
lately,
I'm putting-
Susie? Have you flipped
Mute.
any
Hanging out with
canoes
the girls.
ever? I never? You never flipped
What?
a canoe?
Well, put it this way. Our flatback canoe and our canoes that we have are extra wide for a reason.
Is it because you flip canoes? Like,
It's
join
because
my team. Come on.
I have no coordination, and I have like really bad vertigo and fibromyalgia and a whole bunch of other like plethora of issues, right? And so basically, we want the widest canoe that we can find, so that when Susie has a little spaz attack, we're not going in the water. It was great. Yeah, because otherwise we'd be in the water a lot.
I like
But
this girl.
if anything, I've probably like almost swamped them, like trying to get in, like if I'm already in the water and then I'm trying to get into the canoe, it's like, oh yeah, that didn't go as planned.
It's harder getting in than it is
heck
getting
yeah.
out.
Oh yeah. Well,
But
especially if you tip it, then it's easy to get out.
exactly.
I'm just thankful that it tipped at the shore where we could pull it out, because it was like
That's true.
completely filled with water.
Right.
If that would have happened.
Crocodiles, don't forget the Crocs.
Oh
yeah,
my
so
gosh, yeah.
Todd was wearing Crocs and he didn't have his
Mhm.
little back straps on the back of his ankle. And
Crocs
I did
float.
say everybody
Unless they're in
needs
a
to bring
foot of mud.
swim shoes. But there was like muck and like weeds,
Okay,
and
that's why.
like you sunk into it, and like I went face down into the stuff. I did. I was like,
Gross.
oh. And then
Very unceremoniously, huh?
That was so funny.
She really did go
Yeah.
face first.
I
Sounds
did.
like it.
Yeah. Anyway, I got my greens
I-
that day. Got my greens.
Yeah.
And I had a trouble getting up. Like I was like,
Well, you can get stuck in that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was
was
like a
Literally
foot deep of
swim.
muck. It was really deep. So yeah, his
Yeah.
shoes stayed in the bottom.
Yeah, and then he like turns around. He goes, "Well, you got to tell your sister there's Crocs in these lakes." It was so funny. So now I'm telling everybody who will listen, there's Crocs in my sister's lake. It's so dumb because then I have to tell the whole story.
and I bought him new Crocs, just so you know. I was like, I handed him my phone on Amazon. I said, pick out what you want and have it sent to you. Just click buy it and send it. And he did. Then he sent me a picture of himself in his new Crocs. So it's all
Oh,
good.
Very
and
good.
his phone survived. So
Yes. They came back to
That's-
life.
all we got
I
was
think-
some really good footage.
I know.
Yes.
I'm like, is that going to be in the documentary?
I am
Or
guessing
in the-
yes.
Or
Wait a
like in the bloopers reel, even if it doesn't make it into the documentary,
Have
we should
you
totally
seen-
do a bloopers reel.
Have you seen any of Jason searching for Sasquatch? If it's funny, it goes in. It's not
Oh,
even
yeah.
a blooper.
Oh,
If it's
man.
funny, watch out.
And the
Yeah.
bloopers are awesome at the end too. I love the extra bloopers. Those are so fun.
I
Yes.
bet.
So wait, can I just ask a quick question? So did he actually get you guys falling on the drone?
I don't know.
I have no
No,
idea.
because
Oh,
he was
I didn't
holding
think so.
he was holding his camera to take. He was trying to take a picture. And then he thought he was videoing, but he just took a picture. And then so then he videoed for a while after he realized. So he didn't
And
get
then
the
That's what I
actual flip.
wondered if he had like his camera, like did he have his camera in the canoe and like then the
Oh, that would be bad.
Okay, because
I said no camera in the canoe. I said no camera in the canoe. As soon as I
Smart.
got in there, I'm like, no camera in the canoe. No.
Tammy and I were just fine in the tippy kayaks. Just
Mhm.
saying, we did good. We did good. We did good. Sorry, I had like 3 Celsius today.
You see that face Jen made?
I see that I think Quint is in the chat room. He said he prefers a solo canoella.
Oh, so I think it's just supposed to be a canoe.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I
Hey.
don't know what that means, but okay, good. A solo
Hey.
canoe.
What's Canoella?
Kuella?
Canoella.
Cruella Deville.
Right?
Who
Oh my
knows?
gosh, you guys. We're almost halfway through the show. We need to stop talking about canoes. I'm like, I know it's fun to tease me and everything, but geez.
I just can't wait to hear the story. I just love your storytelling about this canoe. Thank you so much for the giggles, Jen. We were going like a bullet.
Like a
We're
bullet.
going like a bullet.
Not from where I was sitting, and I
It
was
was
right
going
behind
so
you.
fast. It was gonna hurt the dog. That dog wasn't moving. You know he wasn't moving.
Okay, but he
move?
would
Did it
have
move?
moved if something like actually came within inches.
Yeah.
And if not, he would have just got knocked out.
Knocked out.
And he'd have learned his lesson now, wouldn't
He
he?
did.
did
blood, no
move.
foul,
He moved
you
at the
know.
last minute.
Oh, yeah.
We should probably take the break now since
Yeah. Let's
God
take a
darn it.
break.
Muting.
All right, break time. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. Oh
That
my
was so
goodness,
perfect,
you
Tammy.
guys. We need to get
Oh, my
serious,
goodness.
Do you know
ladies.
what that, you know what that reminds me of? Okay, so picture this. So a few years ago, back when I was like 25 years ago, when I was in my 20s, I do you know Mary Catherine Gallagher?
Oh,
From-
yes.
Okay, so I was her for Halloween, and
Superstar.
I had superstar, and she's like, when she does a
Okay, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
yeah, and that totally reminds me of that because
Wait,
how
what
I
reminds
remember.
you?
Superstar.
Superstar. Yeah, and I had the glasses, and I had the little, real short Catholic school girl skirt, and I stayed in character all the whole night, right? So I was like making out with the pillars at the bar, just like what Mary Catholic did, except she made out with trees, but that's totally what that.
I hug them. I do not do anything more. I do hug trees. I will admit it.
Yes.
I love my trees. I'm a tree hugger.
I am
my
too.
This is in Parks and Recreation. I have to be a tree hugger,
Yeah. So,
Love my
it
trees.
feels good to hug a tree. I'm sorry, but if you haven't
Yeah.
hugged a tree, try it. It feels
No,
pretty
and
darn
just
good.
don't lick it, because that's what Mary Catherine does. She licks it.
I have to watch her again. I don't remember.
Oh, you got it. Just
no.
Susie, have you seen the movie Wrong Missy?
Oh, that was so funny.
You got to see that movie, and then I'm just going to tell you it's all about Jenna.
No, I'm not that bad. I'm not
It's like
that bad.
it's like it's about all three of us. It's like they took our characters and made a movie. It was really
Into one
weird.
person.
It's so funny.
It's like everybody all,
Oh, yeah.
into one.
It was so funny.
Okay, what is it again? Wrong Missy?
Yeah, Wrong Missy. I think it's on Netflix. And welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Journey Radio Show. And hey, we're the She Squatchers. Won't you check us out online at shesquatchers.com and click on our events page. You can see where we're going to be coming up soon. We're going to be at the ValleyCon Festival in Fargo, North Dakota.
Don't you know?
Yeah, October
Don't you know?
13th through the 15th. We're being featured at the ValleyCon, and if you're local, watch the iDigital billboards. You'll see us up there.
You will.
You will.
They like us. They really, really like us. I'm kidding. It's from a movie.
All right. So
They like me. They really like me.
we're back to the show with Susi Askildson, and she's going to tell us some of her best, most amazing Bigfoot encounters, things that just make you go, wow, that really happened. Tell us some of those, Susi.
They did really happen. Okay, so remember how I was telling you about the lake where we were at, where I had my first sighting, okay?
Yeah.
So back in those days, we were still living in Iowa, so it was like 5.5 hours for us to get to our happy spot, our favorite place, okay? And so we would get there, and instead of setting up camp, because it'd be like midnight, 1 o'clock or whatever, we would just stop and we'd sleep in the truck, this little Ford Ranger, by the lake, okay? And I still remember, how when you're like half awake, half asleep, hypnagogic, hypnopompic stages, and you're not sure if did you actually see that or not? And I'm like, I don't know, but I think I had a pretty good visual, and I think Squatchy was literally hanging out on the road just staring at me. Oh my God. So that reminds me. Okay. So we were camping this last weekend, and again, sleeping in the truck, but just bigger truck now, and just because we're too lazy to put the camper on. And I can't remember what I was doing, right? But I'm so intent on it. I don't know if I was like on my phone or whatever I was doing, right? And then all of a sudden I look over and Quinn's just staring in the window at me. And he goes, I was pretending to be Sasquatch to see. He's like, to see how I would respond. I screamed and I jumped. Oh my God, I laughed so hard too. I'm like, thank you, Squatchy. I know that you're big and hairy, but come on.
Oh, that's hilarious. So
it was so funny though.
I know
was
you're
like,
big and hairy.
oh my god! And then I was gonna like post that on our researchers group, you know, and of course there's no signal up there, and so I couldn't even like post it. But that just I totally was reminded of that how 10, 12 years ago, Squatchy was standing in the middle of the road, like watching me sleep. Okay. And then here last weekend, my husband's pushing up against the window. I'm like, how long were you standing there? He's like, 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
Wow. So basically,
Cute.
Sasquatch could stare at you for 5 minutes.
Yeah, wow,
That's
that was
awesome.
No.
I love you even more. I really do.
I love this lady. She fits right in with us, doesn't she?
Okay,
We
so
wouldn't
anyway.
get anything done. We'd just be laughing the whole time. And I think the laughter brings them in, don't you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think so. And I think that life is about having fun, you know, and so I want to tell you about my plan for the future, okay? Because we are buying land up, well, adjacent to like the land that we lease. So again, we already know they're there, they're hanging there, whatever. So I've heard people talk about making a garden specifically for, you know, Squatchy and for the critters and stuff like that. And I'm like a huge gardener, right? Like I've outgrown my yard here. And so one of the things that I want to do is because we're going to have to enclose it and maybe electrify it and stuff to keep the bears and things like that out, right? But what I'm planning on doing is actually creating like a Squatchy / bear / critter garden where I'm going to plant things for them so that they will leave my stuff alone. Now, I'm not going to be like giving them chickens. The chickens are off limits. You know, the goats, they're off limits. But I figured I could just kind of plant them their own garden. So that's like, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to like be the little farmer
You're
girl.
so
And
sweet.
well,
Wait.
and I'm also, okay, because that's the other thing too. Like we listen to these podcasts and stuff, and some of these podcasts I listen to just freak my crap out. And I'm just like, no. And then here I am. I'm gonna go like live in the middle of the woods, like off grid with, you know, well, maybe some electricity, but you know what I mean. Like, so I was like psyching myself out. And some of the podcasts we don't let ourselves even listen to while we're up there because we're so like literally in the middle of nowhere, right? And we'll just like psych ourselves out. And so for a while there, I was really kind of like, why am I doing this? So then I quit listening to the podcast. And now I'm all happy again. And I'm all looking forward to it. And that's just one of my goals, that when we get up there and we're in the middle of nowhere, to live harmoniously with them. You know, because there's a lot of controversy out there. Some people are like, nope, they're all evil. Everything out there is evil. You know? And then no, and then there's others that are like, oh no, I just want to pet them and, you know, pretend like they're a great big teddy bear. Okay, well, that's a little excessive too. But how about we come to like a really happy medium, you know? And again, if they haven't ripped your arms off yet, and yet they know you're there, see, you know, then I think it's good. And you know, by the way, we did just watch Star Wars last weekend.
We can tell.
Yeah. So, you know, I had to get that new visual. Okay. But anyway, so I just think that there's kind of a happy medium of respect. Okay. I'm not naive to think that the critters that are around me, be them 2-legged, 4-legged, whatever, are not having the capabilities to hurt me, but I could hurt them too, you know. That again, that's another thing that we have learned, like on our land, is that you know, we shoot our guns and stuff like that, but if we know that they're active and we're around them, we don't have our guns on us when we're around them, because, well, I don't anyway, you know, because I don't want them to feel threatened, and that's not why I have my gun. I don't have my gun so I can shoot Squatchy, you know. I have my gun in case I'm
Protection.
or something else.
You get attacked by something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I totally get that.
Exactly. So, But yeah, it's definitely an adventure, and it's taken me quite a few years to just to get to the point where I can be relaxed and want to be in the woods. Because you hear those stories too about people how they have an encounter and then they don't hunt anymore, they don't go in the woods anymore, and it just completely ruins their lives. It's like earth shattering for them. And I'm like, no, because I would rather be outside playing in the dirt and than inside. And so I can't allow, if I am afraid, I can't allow something like that to take over my well-being. So that I mean, being in the woods is what makes me happy, you know?
I love that.
So,
It's so energizing, isn't it? It's just, it gives
yes,
back so much.
yes, it does. It does. And like this last weekend and the weekend before, I've been harvesting seeds so that I can, spread seeds when we go four-wheeling and stuff like that for the bees and the butterflies. And then what else have I been doing? Just, I was harvesting choke cherries. And so I was like, and it's funny because as I was harvesting them, I'm thinking, sorry, Squatchy, but you got to share some, okay? Like, you don't get to hog all the choke cherries, okay?
Or raspberries.
Or raspberries or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And so when I am like harvesting in an area, I also try, like, I don't strip the entire tree, like I'll take a bunch, stick them in my bucket, and then I try to leave some. And then I figure like half the ones that spill on the floor or on the ground are probably like, hey, some little chipmunk or some little mouse or whatever is happy because, oh, look, Susie missed the bucket again. So, it's like everybody, it's a win-win. Everybody gets to play with the berries.
It's for everyone.
It is. It
What
is.
a
And
kind
so,
heart
and then
you have.
I helped them because they didn't have to try and climb up the doggone tree to try and get a berry. But
There
it's
you
funny
go.
because the tall ones, I think, okay, that when they're up on a 10-foot tall tree, I'm like, oh, perfect for Squatchy. And I'm like, wait a minute here. If I were a bear, not not Squatchy, how would I do this? And if you've watched a bear, how they literally like kind of climb and then bring the branches down. So that's what I did in order to get. I was like, I'm thinking like a bear, and so I was able to just bend the trees down and then grab the berries. I was kind of proud of myself.
That's what I do. That's what I do when I pick figs.
Yeah. Well,
Pull the branches down.
Yep. Bring the branches down because that's the only way to do it.
Yep.
Anyway,
I like bears too.
no.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't like me, right?
Yes.
They
Better
don't
if
like
they do
you?
like you. You don't
They
want
like-
them to not like you.
I know. Oh, jeez. I'm trying
Right?
to think if I have like some of the things that stand out the most about like on our property is that we have a lot of structures. Again, at first, kind of wondered if my husband was messing with me, and then I started paying attention and learning, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, people just don't physically make the kinds of structures that we do have. But I don't think we ever go a weekend without something.
So your husband is in the chat room and he says she wasn't happy about the swan that was taken by the big guy. Jason and her freaked, he says.
Ooh.
Because they're my swans, okay? This is my happy spot. I go to this lake and it's my happy spot, and I can sit there on the dock for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and all I'm doing is that's my version of TV. So I'm watching the swans and I'm watching my loons and I got the snapping turtles and I got the northerns and I was like, this is my TV, all right?
The
So
Nature Channel.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a pair of swans that have been there for I don't know how many years, right? And just was it May? I got an awesome video of the one flying, and they have their wingspan is like 6 feet, 7 feet, whatever. And it flew over me, and I got it on video, and you could hear the wings flapping. I mean, it was just so amazing, right? And then here it's a few weeks later, and there were two swans, and then there were just one. It was just one, and I wanted to cry because Squatchy ate my swan, you know, and now this last weekend when I was there, no swan. And some, you know, and swans mate for life, man. And so if you are going to take one, take both. Not that I really want them to both be gone, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I didn't freak out. I not freaked out because of Squatchy. I freaked out because that was my swan. I was like, you just took my swan, dude.
So
So did you
How-
see him? Did you
Yeah.
see this swan being taken?
Gee, I'm trying to block it out of my memory, like seriously, because I know because the swan means so much to me. And then Jason and Quinn are like, hey, look, it's mom and, you know, and a junior or whatever. And I was like, all I was focusing on was the swan. And I'm like, my swan's gone. My swan's gone. My swan's gone. It was traumatizing. It really was. So here's something I have discovered too. Quinn always uses this phrase, you got to see to see. Okay, so I have noticed that some people seem to be able to see them clearer. So maybe this is me living in my own little delusional, happy little world where we live, you know, coexist in the woods. And so I'm okay if I don't get like the full-fledged, hi, I can, you know, see the pores on your face, right? If I just see more of just kind of the blurs and the outlines, and that tends to be more of what I see, except for like a few certain times when like there was no mistaking what I saw, you know? And so maybe I need to learn how to open up more, you know, so that I can see more than just the shadows, or maybe I don't want to. Maybe the only time I'm going to see or not see the shadows is, you know, when Squatchy's standing on the road watching me sleep. You know what I mean? And so when I saw that, it was Jason and Quint they both flat out, you know, saw the being. For me, I saw more of like a shadow, and the swan was there, and then the swan was gone, and I was like, oh. And to me, so people are always like, well, what do you think they are? I'm like, I don't know. They're just really, really amazing entities. Everybody has their own idea of what a Sasquatch is. Okay. I do not believe that they are an overgrown monkey. They're way smarter. I believe that they're more human, you know, as far as that goes. But I also feel like some of the times when I'm seeing, like, if you've ever watched the movie Predator, you know how they're able to chameleon and they can kind of like blend into their surroundings. That's a lot of the view that I get when I see them, is that I know they're there and I can see them, but it's more of kind of like a shadow, or I see the movement. I don't necessarily just be like, hey, it's Harry and the Hendersons, you know, hanging out with me. You know. So I think, but yeah, I'm sad about my swan, and the fact that when I went back this last weekend, there were no swans at all. I have a feeling maybe the other one's gone too. So
I'm sorry that you lost your swans. So what is your what is the number one top story as far as your experiences, do you think?
I would say, well, okay, because it was kind of the weekend. The one when Squatchy threw the branch over and it landed next to me. That whole weekend, because again we have the camper, and then Quint was behind me, and all of a sudden there were trees. Okay, no wind, no trees moving whatsoever, right? But then conveniently, this tree that was behind the camper, so I wasn't able to see. All of a sudden, 10 feet up in the air, snap. Like Quint and I just look at each other like, what? What just happened? And then we literally run around the camper, and like there's nothing there. There's nothing there for me to see. So again, how are these beings able to just boom, gone? And then Quint's like, oh yeah, he's walking away. I'm like, no, he's not. Because he will see them, and I don't. And again, that's where I'm thinking I got the predator thing going on because they can hide better from me. Whereas you guys know, Quint has a definite more of the background, where he is, he can view things, he can see things, he can, you know what I mean? He's more in touch with that side of himself than I am. So maybe that's why, or they just present themselves to him more than they do me, But that's the same weekend when he's like, oh yeah, look, there's one right there. And I'm like, no, don't see it. But so then we decided to go back into this area, and it's actually where my favorite deer hunting stand is. Okay. We go back there and we're just casually walking back, and actually like halfway to this stand is where I always leave my food, my gifts. And we're walking back, and all of a sudden this 50-foot pine tree, I don't know, I'm not very good with measurements, but really big pine tree starts just shaking. Okay. And Quint, I recall he did have a handgun hold, and the tree was just shaking, and he's like, okay, that's Squatchy's way of letting us know that we're getting a little too close for comfort today. And he goes, I'm just going to put my gun away. And he put his gun like behind his shirt, and he's like, and we're just going to walk away. And I said, okay. And then we just walked away. And again, like in the back of my mind, I'm going, okay, that was pretty close encounter. And yet I don't really do drama. I mean, I get excited, I have fun, but the oh my God, that's only me if I'm excited, not because I'm freaking out, scared, running through the woods. That's
kind of wears off after a while.
Yeah, but it's like exhilarating and nerve-wracking, and your senses are just on high alert when there's lots of, and you guys know this, when there's lots of action and stuff going on around you, you're just always, but then it's like, just because it sounds like a tree knock doesn't mean it is a tree knock, just because.
That's true.
Oh yeah, and guess what? Okay, so this last weekend we were four-wheeling, and we're driving along, and there's no stick in the road. The stick did not fall from the sky, but the stick came out and smacked me on my leg. Like, oh,
weird.
I wonder who threw that.
So you have a certain area that you go in. Now, you mentioned that you've seen a lot of structures. Have you noticed, because this is one thing, we see structures whenever we go out. Do you notice a difference as far as them being sturdy, as far as some being sturdy and some being not so sturdy?
I see some that I think don't look very sturdy, and and those are the ones that I kind of am like, yeah, those might be from weather, or might be, you know what I mean? They're kind of like right on the verge, on the edge, right? And then there's others where I have some that there are so many branches and stuff that are so incredibly intricately woven together. It's like, oh my Lanta. And so what we figured out was that these were actually probably little spots, because then we found them like on other parts of our land where they were watching us, and we didn't even know that the structures were there until we started really like looking and paying attention and all that. And so we were like, it's probably their little watch tower, I guess you could say. And because it was right like by the entrance of where we come into our main camp area, and then there's another one kind of in the back area where, again, going back to that area, to my favorite hunting stand. And those are so well built together that's why they could be standing there and we wouldn't even see them. In fact, we didn't even notice them until I think maybe most of the foliage had died down or something, because, for us to even clue into the fact that they were there. And then, oh yeah. Or maybe I just, got busy and I had, cleared out enough of the brush for the fires that then we can see them. But yeah, there's definitely a variety. We'll come across areas where You can tell that it's branches that they've snapped, to kind of mark a barrier or mark a boundary or something like that. And then there's ones that look like it was something that Squatchy did. And I'm like, oh no, that was us last winter because we had so much, snow on the branches that and then they're just flying back up into the air. I'm like, no, that's not Squatchy, that's Susi,
Well, and the reason I'm asking about structures is because in my mind, I think that each structure has a purpose. And sometimes I see these weak structures that are put together, these teepee, some of the teepee structures that I've seen are put together with these pieces of wood that literally would crumble when you touch them. So, but there's no purpose if you can't touch them unless it's just a visual, you know what I mean?
Yep.
What do you think about the purpose?
And maybe that's they don't want it or mean it to be touched. It literally is just a visual cue for them, like, oh hey, if we go, like, especially considering some of the ones on our land, okay, if we go here, we know that we're not in like the direct vision of where Susi and Quint are. Okay. If there's another structure over there, that's because, and maybe it's for their children, because actually we found an area that you could tell was kind of cleared out, like where they could have had their young, hiding. It was almost like a ground blind, like a natural ground blind, but it was low, it wasn't tall. And so they could have had like the little baby Squatchies sitting there behind this ground blind, just hanging out playing, and we wouldn't have even known. But it didn't need to be tall because it wasn't for the tall ones. And so it's just really interesting to see some of the structures like that, because that wasn't a ground blind that we put up. And I don't think Bambi's going to be making a ground blind either, So I think they all have a different purpose, whether it's for hiding, whether it's for a visual of just, something for, and maybe some of them are boundaries for the little ones. Like, hey, little ones, you're allowed to come hang out here, but do not go past this boundary, because then you're going to be getting too close to Quint and Susi. Could be something like that.
Sure. What about X's? When we were at one of the different places that we were looking, I actually came across an area that was full of the X's, full. Like there were so many, and unfortunately I didn't have my phone with me. Well, we went back to go get Tammy and Jen, but we never got to the same area. I never found it. There was a double X like right next to the road, and I never found that double X again. But when I was there, it was like incredible, because it was a smaller double X. There was a huge double X too, but that was not what I saw before. But there were so many, it almost looked like, I didn't know if it was like a graveyard kind of a thing, or maybe a place where they use the X's as their marker to come back to a certain spot. So I was just thinking, what are your thoughts on the X's?
I have no thought on the X's.
No thoughts.
No thoughts. I mean, well, we were with the group this last Sunday, Sunday before, whatever, because we're like collaborating with all kinds of other groups, and we were with Itasca County people, and they went into the woods, and knowing me, I was probably I was picking flower heads, so I didn't go into the woods because I was picking seeds. Go figure. And so, but they came back and they said that they had found a bunch of X's, and
that music tells us we're at the end of the show, and I wanted to give Susi the opportunity to tell where she could be reached, and I think she's gonna say it's the Scout Tracker group, right?
The Scout Tracker Research and Investigation group. You can find us on Facebook, or Quint, I know, gave his information last week, only because last time, I don't use technology, as Jen knows, because I was like, oh hey, Jen just gave me 5 messages.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
It happened too quick. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for being on, Susi.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a blast.
Yay.